stuck on a mountain, sheltering inside the bus. Something is trying to get me. Part 2. A snowstorm had started outside, and I watched through the window looking for the monster. As long as the weather outside doesn't change for the better, I'm forced to stay inside this cabin. The fire was still burning inside the cabin, but the owner was nowhere in sight. I approached the fire so I could get myself warm. My hands were so frozen, I forgot I was still holding the knife in my hand. The knife Dad bought me for my birthday last year. I wish he was here with me now. I felt myself starting to cry, so I distracted myself by looking around the cabin. As I looked around the cabin, I noticed a map that was nailed to the wall. I approached the map to get a better look at it, and I saw that it was a map of the area. There was a village not far away from here. I don't know if there is anyone living in the village. Maybe it's abandoned. And with each passing day, the weather is getting harsher and harsher. But I will have to risk it and try to find help in the village. As soon as the weather outside calms down, I will go. My thoughts were disrupted by the growling of my stomach. I haven't eaten anything in days. I searched the cabin trying to find anything to eat. I managed to find some bread. I devoured it in seconds. I think that the owner of the cabin won't mind. With my stomach full, I looked at the barricaded front door. I hope that the cabinet I placed will manage to stop the thing from entering inside. Feeling tired, I fell asleep on the carpet in front of the fire, where it was nice and warm. The night was quiet, and I felt safe inside the cabin. I was woken up by a noise, but I thought it was just the wind that was raging outside. Just as I started to drift off to sleep, I heard it again, this time more clearly. It sounded like someone was trying to get inside. They were furiously pulling the doorknob to get inside. Then they began to hit the door with such force that the cabinet I placed in front of it started to slowly shift. Seeing this, I panicked. The monster was coming to get me. Fear took power over me. The only thing on my mind was that I needed to hide somewhere. I looked around and saw a closet and hurried to hide inside it. As I was hiding behind some old jackets, hoping it wouldn't find me, I remembered that I forgot my knife. The knife was on the carpet by the fire. I contemplated running out to get it, but it was too late. I heard the cabinet falling to the floor, and the door was opened. Cold air filled the cabin. It was so cold that I was shaking. I heard slowed footsteps pacing around the cabin from one room to another. I was relieved that it didn't check the closet. The footsteps seemed to have stopped. I couldn't hear them anymore. Maybe the monster gave up. I wanted to peek outside and check, but before I could even do that, the closet door was swung open and a hand grabbed me by my neck and dragged me outside. I was lifted into the air and pressed against the wall. I expected to see the monster that was hunting me, but instead, I saw a man. His brown eyes looked furiously at me. His black beard almost turned white from the snow on it. He had a gruesome scar going across his face. Some animal must have given it to him. He also reeked of cigarettes. "What are you doing inside my cabin and hiding in my closet, you little burglar?" he yelled, his grip tightening on my neck. "I was only seeking shelter from a snowstorm, sir," I said weakly, struggling to breathe. "How stupid do you think I am? You enter my cabin, eat my food, you barricade my door, and I find you hiding inside my closet," he shouted angrily. "But yeah, I forgot you were hiding inside my closet because of a snowstorm." He started laughing, loosening his grip on my neck. I was baffled about how this man can change emotions so quickly. One minute he was angry and about to strangle me, but now he's just laughing at my bad attempt to lie. The man continued to laugh for a little before getting his composure. "Enough jokes. Tell me, what did you steal? Did you come in here thinking you'd find gold? Well, sorry to disappoint you, but that bread that you had eaten was probably the most valuable thing in this cabin." Then, without saying anything else, he put me on a chair and effortlessly tied me up with a rope. To say I was scared would be a lie. I was terrified of this man that might be a psychopath. After he tied me to the chair, he walked towards the fireplace and added wood to the already low flame. Then he turned around and spoke. "And because of the weather outside, it's too dangerous to carry you to the police station myself. So, you'll be forced to stay here until then," he smirked. Now that we had some distance between us, I could see him more clearly. He was tall, had a muscular build, and was still smiling like a psycho. I tried to think how to get out of this situation. I could try to lie again, but since I failed the first time, I think there is no chance he would believe me. To try and run away is impossible because I'm tied to this chair. Do I just tell him about the bus wreck and how I got separated from my dad? I probably shouldn't tell him about that thing that chased me here and how it used Dad's voice. He already thinks I'm a burglar. I don't want him to think that I'm insane. But then again, he looks to be crazy himself already, so this could work. "Listen, I was in a serious wreck. The bus I was on went off the road. All the passengers died, except my dad and me. Dad and I tried to survive and wait for help to arrive, but days passed and we ran out of food, so Dad went hunting. I waited for him on the bus, but he never came back." The man seemed intrigued, so he pulled out a chair and sat across from me. His face was now serious again. I continued to speak. "But one night I heard someone knocking at the side of the bus, and I heard Dad's voice, but there was just something off about the way he spoke. I realized that it wasn't Dad, but something else, and I had to escape. It chased me to this cabin, so that's why I'm here." The man just sat there in his chair and looked at me. I know it sounds made up, but you have to believe me," I begged the man. The man didn't react to my begging. He was deep in thought. He must think I'm insane and is too shocked to react. "Did you speak to it?" The man finally spoke, catching me off guard. I thought for a moment and remembered I did speak to it. "Yes, I did speak to it, but only briefly." The man stood up from his chair. "Then you are in danger. It will stalk you until it can finally kill you and devour your flesh." "But why would it want to kill me? What is this creature?" I questioned the man. "It's a dark and evil creature. Some call it a demon, an evil spirit, but the most popular one is the Wendigo," the man said as he untied me. "I'm heading to a nearby village, and it will be safer for you to come with me. There we can contact the police and inform them about the bus wreck." "Alright, I'll go, but what about my dad? He is still somewhere in the forest. He is in danger. We have to find him." If he was gone for so long, he might already be dead, because the Wendigo was using his voice. When I heard this, I couldn't stop myself from crying. I knew that the possibility of him being still alive was small, but somewhere deep inside of me, I hoped that he was still alive. The man seemed to regret his poor choice of words. He put his hand on my shoulder. "I'm sorry for upsetting you. That's not my intention. There is still a chance that your dad could be alive, but it's slim. Listen, let's go to the village. We can get help there and organize a search party to find your dad." "Then we should hurry to the village," I said as I wiped the tears off my face. The man nodded his head. "Give me a minute to pack a few things," the man said as he went into a room. I still don't trust this guy, but with the Wendigo still out there somewhere, it's safer to go with him. I looked out the window and saw that the snowstorm had ended. This is good, I thought. It will make our travel to the village easier. As I turned around, I bumped into the man and fell onto the ground. "Are you ready to go?" the man asked, giving me his hand to get up. "I am," I said as I took his hand and got up. "Are you sure? You seem to have forgotten something," the man said as he gave me my knife back. "Thank you for giving my knife back." I took the knife and put it in my pocket. We went outside the cabin. It was daytime, so I could see the surrounding area that was outside of the cabin. The cabin was on top of a small hill and it was surrounded by trees. Everything was covered with snow. It was like a place from a fairy tale. "Do we need the map?" I asked the man. "Don't worry, I know the way to the village, just follow me," the man said, not turning around. I followed him to the back of the cabin, and there was a sled covered with snow. The man whistled, and 4 dogs jumped out of the snow. They were huskies. "Don't worry, they don't bite," the man said. We got on the sled and we were on our way. It was pretty exciting to ride a sled being pulled by dogs. The ride was silent. The man would only speak when he was giving commands to his dogs. We were going down a small path in the woods. Then all of a sudden, a tree fell on the path. It almost hit us. We had to stop because the tree was blocking the way. I wanted to ask the man if we could still get to the village, but I noticed that he was looking in just one direction. I looked in the same direction, and that's when I saw it. It was tall, standing at about 12 feet. Its head had animal-like ears with antlers. Its desiccated skin pulled tautly over its bones, with its bones pushing out against its skin. Its complexion the ash grey of death, and its eyes pushed back deep into their sockets and glowing like hot coals. It looked like a gaunt skeleton recently disinterred from the grave. What lips it had were tattered and bloody. Its body was unclean and suffering from suppurations of the flesh, giving off a strange and eerie odor of decay and decomposition, of death and corruption. It had long limbs, its fingers gnawed off to expose the bones like claws, and sharp pointy teeth. I was about to scream in fear, but the man put his arm over my mouth and stopped me. He then whispered into my ear, "We have to leave the sled here, just follow me, but don't run, you must walk. And whatever you do, don't look behind you." I just nodded my head in agreement, and we started to slowly walk away from the sled and off the small path. The dog started to whine as we moved away more. The man was calm and not as terrified as me, like if seeing this terrifying thing was nothing new to him. The Wendigo wasn't chasing us for some reason. How did he know that it won't attack us if we just walk away? I thought about what would have happened if I went alone to the village, but then I heard someone. "Honey, where are you going with that man?" "Dad?" I turned around hoping to see Dad, but instead I saw a shape running towards me. It was the Wendigo, and it was moving supernaturally fast. What transpired next was in like some kind of movie. The Wendigo pounced at me. The man tried to move me out of the way, but the Wendigo was too fast. The Wendigo managed to hit me, and the hit sent me into the air. I heard the man scream in pain, and as I fell onto the ground, I heard a loud bang noise and that weird animal-like scream. I lay on the ground, my back throbbing in pain. The man picked me up and yelled, "We have to run." Even though I was in pain, I mustered the strength to run. I looked back for the last time and saw that the Wendigo was crouched down. It looked like it was hurt. It was being attacked by the dogs. One had even managed to jump on its back and was biting him ferociously. I ran in the woods for what seemed like an eternity. When I noticed the man wasn't running next to me, I turned around and saw that he'd fell to the ground. I ran to him, and I could see that he was bleeding. His blood was all over the ground, giving the snow around him a red colour. I managed to get him up on his knees. He had a huge gash on his right arm, going all the length from shoulder to elbow. He was barely conscious. "You're hurt. I have to stitch your wound or you will bleed out. We won't be able to make it to the village in time," I said, panicked. "There is a place," the man whispered weakly. "The old hunter's cabin, just past that creek over there." I dragged the man past the creek and through some bushes, and we made it to the old hunter's cabin. I tried to open the door, but it was locked. Damn it. I have to find a way inside. There was a chair next to the door, so I sat the man on it while I was looking for a way inside. I tried to open a few windows, but had no luck. Defeated, I returned to the front door. There was a doormat in front of the door. It was old and worn out. I pulled the doormat off the ground, and under it, I found a single key. It had to be the key to the door. I used the key and unlocked the door. I dragged the man inside and locked the door after me. I laid the man on a bed. He wasn't conscious anymore. I had to act quickly. I took his jacket and shirt off. I looked at the gash on his arm. I had to stitch it up. I looked for a needle and thread inside the cabin, and I found them inside one cabinet. With a shaking hand, I held the needle and looked at it. I hated needles. I would always cry when I had to get a shot in the hospital as a kid. But Dad would always tell me to be brave, and that would calm me down. "You have to be brave," I said to calm myself down. It was my first time stitching someone up, but I managed to stop the bleeding. The man was now stable. He was sleeping, so I let him rest. The cabin was cold, but there was some wood in a crate next to a stove, so I started a fire. I don't know if the Wendigo will find us again. I hope to not have to encounter it again. When I dragged the man, he left a trail of blood behind us, but a snowstorm has started outside, so I hope that it will cover the blood trail. I just want to thank user SRBIN_04-1389 for allowing me to narrate this story. This is the second part of a 3-part series, so if you liked what you heard here, stick around for the last part coming soon. Also, I'll leave a link for the original story in the description below, so you can head over and show the author some love. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, and as always, stay tuned for one more nightmare.